That's the good stuff. And then we get to choose who we let into our weird little worlds. You're not perfect, sport. Let me save you the suspense. This girl you met, she isn't perfect either. But the question is whether or not you're perfect for each other. That's the whole deal. That's what intimacy is all about.
Why don't you love me, Jenny? I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Out.
What easy way? There is no easy way. No matter what I do, somebody gets hurt.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
I keep coming back to you. Ooh, I keep coming back. You put me through hell, but I just can't stay mad at you. Know me so well, but you don't even have a clue that I'm the one that cares the most tonight.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Unwrap Love. Let me just kind of.
I feel like our table is so far up front. It's fine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like it got pushed forward or something.
Feeling a little weird, are we?
Yeah, okay. You ready to get started, baby?
I'm ready to get started. All right. Okay. I think we got all the normal technical stuff that we run into out of the way. But thank you for tuning in this evening. We have another great show lined up for you guys tonight. Hello, my name is Gabriel,
Hi, and I'm Yvette Richardson,
and welcome to the Unwrap Love Show.
where we pull back the layers of love and relationships.
So
Buckle up for love, everyone.
All right, we're getting so much better at that. Hello, Stephen. Thank you for tuning in this evening. So tonight in this episode, we're going to be discussing something that a lot of couples have a lot of problem expressing, but we're going to be talking about when do you start to explore intimacy. Okay, this is a big one because number one, we're all worried about the early stages of a relationship, right? Thinking about whether we move too fast or slow with a potential partner, right? The question is, when is the best time to start being intimate in a relationship? The answer is it's complicated, right? So spanning anywhere from a few dates, I've heard people like even on the first night to a few months after you start to spend time together. One of the reasons it's hard to determine the best time, the best time in the race in a relationship to start, is because it hasn't been a lot of research on tracking this specific question. So, it's one that people have to kind of feel their way around. So that's just why we want to
Have
talk about it tonight.
you ever heard of the 3-date rule?
Yeah, now that's okay.
Because I talk to guys on there on apps sometimes, and they're like, "Okay, so it's the 3-date rule," and I'm like, "What's that?" I didn't realize that was a thing. But he's like, "Yeah, by the third date, that's when you're supposed to have sex. So you're supposed to, have the first date, the second date. By the third date, that's the sexual date." And I was like, excuse me? So I don't put like a time on it. And I mean, no. And he's like, well, I just move on if a girl doesn't have sex with me on the third date. So I guess that's
I've now
a thing.
yeah, now I've heard of it. But my own personal thing is number one, how do you decide after 3 dates that you're like in a place to start just having sex with somebody, especially when you spend just a short amount of time with people, like getting to know them, right? So if you've only been out on 3 dates, how well do you know this person? And now do you feel comfortable enough? And I know what guys want, right? This is what guys want. They want to get in bed with a woman, but how well do you know her? Like how lasting do you think things are going to, move along? That's kind of the question of why we're talking about this topic tonight, because it's one that I think a lot of people run into, especially those that are starting new relationships, and when they feel uncomfortable just discussing it. So I think it's like time to start table talking and putting this stuff out here and just talking about like how, when, why, just all the questions somebody might have to ask when they think about being intimate with somebody.
Yeah, and I think that just being intimate in general is not just about sex. So intimacy includes a lot more than just sex, and sometimes people think that that's the main thing. So as we explore that, you want to hit the next slide.
Oh yeah, that's right. Here we go. Oh well, this is pretty.
So,
This is the one I should have went to already.
well, do you want to add
Well,
anything before you go to the next slide?
not really. Hold on, just move myself out into the frame there. There we go. It's a little bit better. That was bugging me. Okay. Just as far as like where I stand on like this whole dating thing and people asking this question, um, I found it very difficult to just find myself wanting to jump into bed with a woman. Like for me, it was always about there's got to be love or meaning behind it. And I couldn't subscribe to a lot of the things that I would read, a lot of the things that I would hear, a lot of the advice some of the guys would tell me. It's like kind of like where I learned where the 3-date rule was from. So it was just a little difficult to say, yeah, this is
And it's
okay.
like on both sides because I talked to a lot of people before, I decided who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And, I remember talking to one guy and he said that, he had women that actually would ask him how big it was beforehand
Wow.
because they didn't want to pursue the relationship further until they knew the size. So yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff out there on when people want to take it to the next level. And some of the, I guess, the deal breakers for them when it comes to it. So we felt like this is something that is important to discuss when it comes to relationships. So when do you start to explore intimacy? So first of all, it's personal for everybody. Okay, so if you're talking to a guy, you're a female and you're talking to a guy and or it could be reverse, but all they do is just start talking about sex and it's sex this and sex that and it's sexual jokes and it's all this stuff. It's kind of like they turn it into this crude thing. And if that's not you, don't compromise your values. Don't compromise who you are to go after this person when that's all they discuss. And it's like, hey, this is I'm on a different path than you are. So it is a personal journey for you. And if that other person isn't on a similar journey, then bye bye. See you later. Go find and talk to somebody else because that person is definitely either immature and just not on the same level as you. So there's not a single right answer. How to start, there's all kinds of suggestions and research out there. So we'll just tell you some of the things that, can encompass various forms of what you're looking for when you think about intimacy. And so first of all, it's emotional, it's physical, it's that intellectual connection as well. And the pace and nature of the exploration does depend on your individual needs and your preferences. So
Big
there are a
time.
few factors to consider when you're thinking about moving it into the next level. So one of the things that you've got to think about is how old you are. So hopefully you're older than 18.
I would hope
This
so.
this is, sometimes kids will try it out when they're younger and they're just not mature enough to handle it. So age is definitely a factor. How are you developmentally ready for it? Some people don't develop mentally for this until they're even older than 18. So like psychologically, your brain is still developing, your frontal lobe is still developing, and that's where you make all of your
Hey,
decisions and your choices. And that doesn't stop until you're about 25. And I know it's like, well, you can drink at 21 and you can vote and you're technically an adult. Well, sometimes, yeah, the brain isn't quite ready for these decisions, and people rush into it at a really young age. But that decision maker is still growing and thinking. And sometimes people before they're 25 can make some really bad choices. So, think about age, developmental state. Did you want to add something,
Yeah, I
honey?
was
Because
just
you're
gonna
like,
say, yeah, I'm trying to get in there because I was like, I just want to. I'm gonna wear this badge. Hey, I was a virgin till I was I was a virgin till I was 19, guys. Right? That's a badge. Like I waited till I was at least an adult, like having that idea. Like I didn't go. Uh, like I've had friends, and I knew people that were like, hey, they lost their virginity at their some guys call it their V card or whatever at like 14, 15. Like I hear girls get pregnant at that age, and I'm like, wow, man. I was like, I had no idea that you could actually do that at such a young age. So
yeah, some people have babies before 18 and it happens, but they learn and start to mature and sometimes have to be moms at a really young age, and fathers at a really young age. But yeah, so he waited till you were 21?
19,
Oh,
19,
19, 19.
19, right? So I was like, hey, I can vote, right? I can get a job. I can do all these other things.
I
So,
was 18, so,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Not too far
I
off.
didn't do it before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was 18.
You weren't one of those ones that were like,
No, I actually knew somebody, hopefully they're not watching and listening, but they had, by the time they were 18, they had a list and it was like 100 people. And
oh
I
my
said,
God.
whoa. So, yeah, they had a trophy list of names and a binder. And then I met other people that did the same, but they took pictures. So they had like a picture wall of trophies of how many people they had slept with. And I guess to each their own. But if you are looking for, longevity and no STDs and things like that, then it's kind of better to, focus in on one person, and value that one person. But, sometimes it doesn't work out and you might end up with somebody new.
Exactly.
Um,
That's crazy.
yeah. So intimate and ooh, Rachel is on. Hi, Rachel. That's one of my besties right there.
Hey,
Uh,
girl. She says, oops. Exactly. Oops.
All right. So, intimacy needs will evolve as you mature. So, I know my head and my intimacy and what I expected and what I wanted in a relationship was very different at 18. I settled. A lot of my early adulthood, I settled for types of intimacy that, I was like, okay, I guess this is how it is, and so as you age and you mature and you want and need more things in your life, that can change. And so over time, and if you're with a partner at a young age, hopefully you can mature and grow together, but not everybody does. A lot of people do begin exploring romantic and sexual intimacy, but individual development varies greatly in every new relationship. So, an emotionally mature person can effectively identify what their partner around them is feeling or going through. If they can do that, it leads to a better understanding of boundaries. So, if you are developmentally mature enough to handle when someone tells you things that they like, things that they don't like, that's so, so important in intimacy. Sometimes people have to take things slower. Sometimes, you have to respect that boundary. So you have to be on a developmentally mature place in your life to be able to handle some of this. And some people aren't when they're younger. So it takes sometimes getting a little bit older, more mature, and even reading. Okay. So educating yourself on this can definitely help. Another thing that you have to take a look at is your cultural and your religious norms. Okay, so different cultures, expect and have different high expectations for certain things, especially in religion. If you are religious and you have beliefs and you believe in waiting, then that's important to you. Then you need to stress that to your partner and you have to be on the same page about that. So if culture takes a place, your religion takes a place, whatever it is that you value, do not sacrifice your values for anybody. So do what feels good to you. And if somebody's pressuring you, like, no, so you have to follow your instinct and you follow your values in that relationship
I
because
mean,
you should not be influenced by even the norms of what the society says because society says go out there and get some, take score. Like sometimes for guys, they're told, what, like, bro, how many did you get? How often did you have it when you were in high school? And it's like guys
well,
sometimes egg it on too.
even in college, right? It's like that's they get to that point where they're in college, and it's the whole idea of like now this is the time I have to go out and just like bang as many women as I possibly can, right? They see it as collecting a trophy case, and that's kind of crazy. And even things like in cultural norms, where like uh in some countries they practice like arranged marriages, so you can't go and have just willy-nilly sex with anybody. You kind of then soil the whole tradition behind it. um so that's just those things do come into place. And I know people can't control who they fall in love with sometimes. But those kind of things do sort of hamper or make it a little bit more difficult for people to really explore the idea of being intimate with somebody and like I said, just being smart about it is really, really important these days. Simply because you can do things like get STDs, you can do things like, getting somebody pregnant, and it changes the whole circumstances of your life simply by just doing things too fast or not knowing or not paying attention. And it's why I kind of just pulled myself back a little bit, because I said I didn't want to find myself in any of those positions, because I don't know, I knew internally I was not ready like to be somebody's father back then. I was not ready to bring children into this world, because I felt like sure as hell was not mature enough. I wasn't, to be honest. I was a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old boy was still like a 13-year-old mind though. Like just doing things of how, guys do silly stuff. Like it was still things that I did as even I got older. So yeah, it was definitely different for me. And I know some guys just changed their whole perspective when they were young because they started getting with girls and had girlfriends. And maybe it was because maybe because back in when I was younger, I didn't find myself very attractive, and I definitely didn't think I was cute. So I just
He's
like,
hot.
I didn't play into it when I was younger. I was just like, man,
That's
uh,
because I didn't go to your school.
yeah. Like I honestly, I felt like a total outcast. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk to girls. I don't. The one time that I got rejected was enough in high school. It was like, I'm done. Like I don't want to do it anymore. Um, so it was, it was a hit to my self-esteem that I wasn't ready to do it either. So that's what I want to share on that one there. So, all right, let me move to the next scene, and we will talk about yeah, personal values and beliefs, right? So this is part of establishing your boundaries, right? We're going to talk about comfort level and boundaries here. So, your personal value and your beliefs. Individual values are important, and beliefs in relationships, sex, and emotional connection play a significant role in how shaping someone approaches intimacy. So, just like what we're talking about here, what do you value internally? Like if you say I have enough self-respect for myself that I'm not just going to sleep with anybody, that you want some kind of meaning or something behind it that makes sense to you, yeah, that's gonna play a big part in it. And again, the religious thing, that you believe that, hey, you want to save yourself for marriage, that's another one. I mean, that's the whole thing of just feeling and knowing what your personal values are and what they mean to you, and you're not willing to compromise it for anybody, for any guy, any gal, any of that.
Yeah, and what's going around now and it's kind of like trending and I've seen it in groups, people talking about it, is this thing called a situationship.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's like, okay, I might have these boundaries and these values, but I really like this guy. I really like them. And, I don't know. It hasn't been really determined what it is. And we kind of started having sex. And then I don't know how to define it. I'm not his girlfriend. He's not my boyfriend. I guess it's a situationship. And so then once he moves on and he gets another girlfriend, and he actually labels it as this is my girlfriend, then they're so distraught. They can't handle it. They're like, how do I get over this? How do I deal with it? How? And it's like, okay, so you just gave up who you are. You gave up your, you know, you, you became intimate with this dude without going through the steps. Like, you never established what was going on. You didn't establish your boundaries. You didn't say, like, is this, somebody that I'm going to be with long term? And then all of a sudden it's a situationship and now you're upset. So it is what it is. If you get yourself involved in that without having these talks, without communicating, without saying, like, this is what I want, this is what I expect, these are my boundaries, and you just allow somebody to pressure you into sex and then just allow a situationship to happen, then yes, there's going to be problems because you weren't ready to be intimate with this person, but you did it anyway. So, whether or not intimacy can be all kinds of things, it can lead into the bedroom. But even that first kiss, when are you ready for that? Do you establish your boundary that you don't want to kiss on the first date, that you want to wait? When do you want to start the holding hands? Whatever it is that you want, you've got to kind of like talk and communicate about that, what your boundaries are in that intimacy. Even hugging, some people may not want to hug the first date. And then, or maybe they start with hugging and then it leads to a kiss the second or third date. However, which way you want to go, it's your body, it's your mind. You get to decide individually and never allow somebody to pressure you. So it's important to approach intimacy with respect for each person, to be safe. Don't just go to somebody's house because they say, well, why don't you just come to my place? I'll cook you dinner or whatever. And then you go to their house, you don't know. You don't know if that person is going to respect your boundaries. So be safe whenever you start to lead into this intimacy. Um,
Well, I want to just mention hello, Sarah, saying,
yes.
yeah, situationships aren't for me. Exactly. It's a time waster for a lot. And then going down the line, it's like, they will most likely come back and say, you knew what you were getting into. God, how that line,
Yes,
that line.
that line.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because they lead you, sometimes, and I hate to say this, but a lot of times it's not the female that's leading the guy into the bedroom, but it can be. I've seen that happen. Like, the person I know that had sex with over 100 guys at the age of 18. I'm sure she did a lot of leading. But most of the time it's a guy that leads you into that situationship. And then you're right. They're like, well, I never defined our relationship, so you knew it was just a sex thing. And so there's a lot of confusion when the boundaries aren't set up, when you communicate about what it is that you want. And so also any kind of open dialogue, make sure that you start to trust that person too. Because if you don't develop that trust, then it makes it very difficult to be able to openly talk about things. And then you can also lean on other people for advice. Go to friends, trusted people that you can talk to. Somebody that's in your family or a friend, or even professionals if you're not sure about a situation that you're getting into. It's
Well,
important to find also people to talk to when you're going through something that you're confused about.
well, I was just also going to say, how much do you feel like alcohol plays into some of these situations where, women, mostly women, but some men do find themselves in a position where they are put to the point where they're uncomfortable because, plus having the, having being inebriated, excuse me, kind of clouds their judgment as well. I mean, that's kind of another thing that I always used to think about too. Is like, man, especially in these day and age, and just a couple years ago where it was the whole Me Too thing, and not going to get into that. But it changed the way that like you have to really look at when you approach these sort of situations, especially in the new world of just modern dating. Like you can't just assume somebody's just ready to go. Like you can't just read into words and verbiage. It has to be kind of
Yeah.
directly communicated, right? It has to be consensual.
Yeah, and sometimes people do. They get involved in the intimacy part too quickly, even on the first date, like the whole hangout. Well, you've had a few drinks and, the bar's closing, and why don't you come to my house and we can just hang out and talk? I wouldn't buy it. So, the hangout typically means let's go have sex. And so if you didn't know that, make sure you do, because my brother didn't and he ended up in a very bad predicament. So we talked about that, I think, like last show or the show before.
Show before.
So you need to know some of this terminology too, but you have to make sure that you are safe. And if you are drinking on the first date, first of all, that's a big no. Okay. So your first date should, in my opinion, and I'm sure Gabe thinks this too, like coffee, is a great first way to meet somebody, and stay in a public place. Don't go to their house, because you don't want to end up, sadly getting raped, and that can happen. You have to be safe in those situations. Or, sometimes they're led to believe that that's what they wanted because they've had several drinks, and, they tried to say no, but, it just kind of happened. And sometimes there's no like really resolution about it. And it's like, well, I did it, but I really don't want to. And I've heard this too. They're like, well, I shouldn't have had sex on the first date. I didn't want to. And now I want to tell them, like, I don't want to have sex anymore. I just want to get to know you. And so at that point, do people want to go backwards? Do they say, well, we already had sex once. What's why is it a
Yeah.
big deal? We've already done it. So, it's hard to say, but some people will say, like, I'm not going to go backwards in this relationship. And, if you're with a decent guy, they might be like, okay, yeah, maybe,
Yeah, let's tap the brakes.
yeah,
right?
let's tap the brakes. Let's get to know each other. And if that happens, then that might be a good guy that you continue talking to. But if, they're just like, then yeah, that's a big, huge red flag that's one of the main things that they want.
Well, like Nicole saying, part of it is like, yeah, I can be a girl doing the leading. I asked my husband out 8 years ago, and now we're married. But hey, look, that's the result, right? You knew what you wanted, and it wasn't just again, you just saying I'm going to go try to sleep with the guy, right? It was you did lead in it, and that's okay. That's a good thing actually. That shows me that hey, it can happen. You can be somebody in the relationship that doesn't always have to pursue. You can be the one that's being pursued, not doing the pursuing, but actually, anyway, I messed that up. Okay.
And
So Sarah was also saying, oh, you want to read it? Can you read it?
these men will not change the dynamic of the relationship or lack thereof just because you move your boundaries for them. No matter how much they verbally tell you, if you do this, I may change. They know they won't, and they are manipulating you. Absolutely truth. Yeah. So you have to, look at their actions and not their words.
Yeah, and that's what she's saying here. Nicole's saying,
Yes.
you also need to watch your words
They
because
can
they
be
can be
misleading.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
And another important thing too is to discuss concerns about sexual history. So talk to them about, like, hey, when's the last time you've been checked? Have you, do you have a full panel? Has that been, when was the last time you got checked for STDs? That should be a big conversation before, because I have a friend who actually did that in the relationship, and the guy told her, yes, I've been checked, I'm clean. And so she believed him. They established a relationship. They started to have sex. They broke up. And then after they broke up, she finds out like a couple years later that he died. And so she found out, somebody told her. So she went to the funeral, and she was talking to his ex-wife, and she was like, "Oh my God, what did he die of?" And she's like, "He died of AIDS. Didn't you know?" And she was like, no. And she goes, when did he have AIDS? And she goes, oh, he had it, even like right after we split up, he found out he had it. So she went and got checked, and sure enough, she's HIV positive.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
she's been HIV positive for as long as I've known her, which is 25 years. 25 years I've known her. And thankfully she's still alive because she takes the HIV medication that keeps her alive. But yeah, you can't just trust their words sometimes. You've got to see it. So if someone's trying to like, oh no, they don't want to show you, like, they're not willing to go get tested with you, then that's an issue too.
Yeah, because there's so many things that can be life altering. That's one of them, right? You can get things like hepatitis C, and that you can't get once you have that, you just can't get rid of it. It's like a lifelong process. So being careful out there, because here again in the current dating culture, right? They emphasize these days a lot of people saying, "Hey, you need to test your sexual chemistry, right? Test it out. Take it for a test drive before you go buy it, right? That's the ideology behind it. Before two people decide, hey, let's commit to each other. Let's think about getting married. And there was a lot of people that would tell me this, like, hey, you need to make sure you have sex with this person before you get married. Like I mean, I had people that were long-term friends
Oh
or
yeah.
family members that would tell you, hey, make sure you do that
Test
because
it out
test it.
because you don't want to be stuck with someone that doesn't know how to perform. Yeah,
Right,
I've been told
exactly.
that by my family members before. They said they made sure they tested it out first. Yeah, I don't think you have to do
Yeah,
that.
and that's the thing we're gonna get into. Just is, but it's not all necessary for all couples to go ahead and test their sexual chemistry. When you have a spark with somebody, like you can tell when you're being and not all levels of intimacy or just sex, right? You start finding out like how you feel with that person when you're spending time with them, like the things you're doing, you're kissing, you're cuddling, you're doing all these other
You
things.
said kissing. That was
Kissing,
cute.
it's a new word. Look, I'm owning it. I'm owning it. Kissing is I'm gonna copyright that one. Uh, it was confusing. My mind's going kissing, lift. I don't know where I was. But anyway, just to finish the point, it's you can start learning about that person through physical touch without having to actually cross into the borders
Oh yeah, because there's
of
a
any.
lot more to intimacy. Like, I used to crave back rubs, and I used to crave like getting my feet rubbed, and I just wished and hoped that it would happen, and would make hints, and yeah, it didn't happen for many years. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like, I'm with this man that likes to do that, and I don't have to beg, I don't have to plead, I don't have to say, please rub my back. Like, it's a constant, and so I feel very spoiled and lucky, and I do repay. But it's not like a repay thing. We don't do it like, hey, you rubbed my back, so now rub mine too.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's like
So,
he'll sometimes rub my back to sleep, and then there are times that I'm just rub on his back. We do it because we love each other. And that's a part of intimacy too, is showing that person that you love them through physical touch.
so just to go through and catch up a little bit on the comments, Sarah was just saying just recently a Facebook friend said he went to get a full panel and he hasn't been with anybody for 2 years and found out that he had several STDs and was shocked. Oh my God. That would have
Yeah.
been, you just don't know. And then Nicole's just clarifying a few things. She said we worked together for 2 years to talk about her husband before they
Then
started
started
dating.
dating.
Yeah.
Slow, yes, but worth it. This is from the chick twice divorced. Don't rush.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, go. And then, yes, we didn't call you. We expected you to be here, Randy. So
Yeah,
you're
Randy.
disappointing us. So sorry about that.
I know. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody because I could have swore somebody told me to send them the link. And I
Oh,
tried to send it to as many people as possible before the show started, but I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
yeah, we'll figure maybe it was Randy.
They've got
Okay.
it.
Okay. Nicole's like, we are all going to get to the point where we don't function the way they did, right? Better have some better have something more
More
than
than
the
sex
sexual
holding you.
yeah, that's holding everything together. So
Yes, the talking, the communication, that is so, so important. And then what did Rachel said something a little
so
earlier
if it
before that. Oh yeah.
so
Wait.
so she's saying if it's love, you will find what works for y'all. And
Hmm.
yes, he took.
Same almost every night. The tickles are my sleep at.
There you go. Isn't that love?
Yes, that's love. That's love. Yeah, Rachel is married to the most amazing man. If you are listening and can say any prayers, please say some prayers for him right now. But she's married to an incredible, incredible man. And Rachel is me and Rachel are both the ex-wives of the same man. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. But yeah,
Maybe we'll get into the
yeah.
constructs of that one day.
One day we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. So, and I love it. Hey, I love this feature on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, you can, if you literally scroll and find it in the red live ring on my profile, you click on it, and then boom, it takes you right into the live. So, it's much love, and thank you, Sarah, for sharing that to Rachel and her husband yesterday.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
So, God, I just lost my train of thought. That made me forget something.
I love you.
I love.
Is it
Okay,
coming back?
it's coming back. Okay, that's good. Um, no, what I was getting into then was just how a lot of couples, when they start out and they get into the point of exploring what intimacy is for them, like it's a different level for every single couple, right? There's no right or wrong way in how you partake in getting into being intimate with somebody. It's how, again, what we talked about, the comfort level, the things that that you share with this person, before deciding if that's the threshold you want to cross. But when this thought process, the idea of sexual chemistry and people like having to explore, take the test drive before they go do it,
Yeah,
right?
and they think that that is like the be all. Like it's like, okay, well, I have to make sure the sex is good before the relationship is good. Like there is so much more than just intercourse. Like there is a lot more
Well,
to a
this is what was
relationship.
interesting, because when I started to research this topic a little bit more, I mean, I know intimacy, right? I mean, come on,
Flip to the next slide
that's
as you
what I'm going.
talk.
There we
Okay.
go. There we go. Okay. But this was cool when I was started to do a little research on this. So I found out that the Americans psychological is that what how
Yeah, psychological.
Logical Association Journal of Family Psychology did a study involving a national sample of over 2,000 married individuals who participated in this popular online couples assessment called the Relate assessment. Okay. And they found that the longer a dating couple waits to have sex, the better their relationship is after marriage. Now, that's contrary to what we think and what we feel when somebody's like, "Well, how can you just buy something sight unseen?" That's how they feel. That's how people feel whenever they think, "Hey, we got to do this beforehand, because what if we don't?" Because you heard the horror stories is what I think it is. People hear the horror stories of individuals who kind of like, there we go, there you go. People have heard horror stories of like, yeah, I married him. He was bad in bed, and they think that's the rule to how all these marriages and these relationships work. And it's not the case. Sometimes some people get to know each other and they learn together, like how to be intimate with each other, right? They grow in intimacy after they get married. So that, to me, that was kind of crazy, that when you think about how everybody just sees this idea of, hey, having sex, I don't want to wait till I'm married. um it changes how your thought process is when you read things like this, because you think to yourself, man, maybe I did do something wrong. I thought about this, right? I thought about this a lot, um because, again, I'm a man. I have, primal needs sometimes, and they take over more than I do logically how I think, so you have to learn what it is to control that. But I also understand that in some instances, again, it's a case by case. Now, they did that further in the study. It did mention that couples that did have uh, intimate relations before they got married, but ended up, getting married, it was about half. It kind of went down half on the scale of the people who were successful in their marriages. So it does. I mean, it can work, but the thing is to think about it and process it before you even jump into the action of doing it. Because I think just having empty sex with somebody before you even know this person, before you understand or feel any kind of uh, deep bond with that individual, kind of just ruins it. Because then you start the mind works the way the mind works, and it says maybe they just want me or want to be with me because we have sex and it's very good, and that's how we connect. Whereas opposed to where people who wait, they have to kind of formulate that bond of how we communicate with each other, right? I mean, we have to talk to each other. We have to learn about each other. If we're going to get to really know each other and be intimate later on and get married, we got to understand what it is about each other that makes us attracted to each other. I mean, that to me was a big thing for me. And I know this sounds crude. This is just my thought process, but I said I wanted a woman who could fuck my mind as good as she could fuck my body. Like, because that meant to me, just in terms of what it's saying, she can connect to me and she can, make that feel as good as my body can feel when we're doing the other act. And to me, that was what was important when I thought about finding an individual, someone who could stimulate me in every aspect of who I am as a guy and as a person. That was just how I felt about it. So I'm sorry I went on so long.
It's okay. I was just listening. Yeah, so Randy was saying 10-minute wait. No, Randy, not 10 minutes.
No.
It's gonna take a little bit longer than that. So yeah, you have to you have to really connect on a deeper level because then it all becomes just sex. So yeah, I was with a guy for 3 years, and when I first started dating him, I set my boundaries and I said, I'm not going to. I'm not going to, I don't want to. I want to wait till marriage. I want to get to know you. And so we talked for about a month, and he was like, you know, I just think we're on different pages because I think that sex is important in a relationship. And so I told him, okay. And then he broke up with me. And so I was like, well, I guess, you have to have sex to be in a relationship. I don't know. I was young. I was 20, I think like 26 or something. I was still kind of young. And so he stayed in touch with me on Facebook, and then he needed a photographer. So I started to do pictures of his daughter, like playing soccer, and like I did group photos for his daughter. And then he started inviting me out to like eat. And, he said, you know what, I'm really thinking about, being with you, and no pressure. I don't want to pressure you about the sex, but I really do like you and I want to get to know you more. Well, dumb little me was like, okay. And then I started having this fear inside of me that, well, he's just going to break up with me again if I don't have sex. And so I compromised my values and my beliefs of waiting for him. And I decided to start having sex. And so we had sex, lots of it for 3 years. And he never once said he loved me. I was his girlfriend, but that's all the relationship was. We'd go out to eat and we'd just kind of eat our food. We never talked hardly. It was just like, and I kept thinking in my mind, I guess this is what couples end up like when they get older. They just don't, they run out of things to talk about. So, then I tried to be like goofy around him to make him laugh. And he was like, yeah, don't do that. And I was like, okay. And so it was just the weirdest relationship. And I don't
we,
know
we need
why
we
I
need we need
stayed for three
we need to
years.
have a show just on this guy alone.
Yeah. So I don't know why I stayed for 3 years, but I did. And then eventually, I wanted to go out for New Year's one day, and he was like, okay, well, we can go out. And then we were texting, and then all of a sudden he stopped texting me and ghosted me. And I didn't hear from him for a few months. And, I emailed him and I was like, you're the biggest coward I know. I don't know why you just stopped talking to me. And so he said, yeah, you're right. It's me. And I was like, well, I want anything I left at your apartment. Like, I want it back. And so he mailed it all back to me. And that was that. Never talked to him again. But yeah, it was one of the worst relationships I've been in because all it was sex, and it wasn't, there was nothing else, and
Yeah.
you have to have all the other stuff to make a relationship work.
I would have been punching the walls. I would have been doing something because, like, for me, I gotta have conversation. I just do. Like, I can't sit there and just screw somebody and then go sit on the couch and watch, whatever, separately, or just sit there and be together. Like, I look, I had that before. I did that with somebody, right? Like, it was, we did the act, and then it was like she went into her own world, and I was there with mine, and I was like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I'm just sitting here. It felt like it was boring. Like, I don't know how
Yes.
people can sit there and say.
Boring.
I was like, I love to talk about it and do things and share it. And just kind of like what Sarah's saying, when the physical intimacy is gone, the energy remains. So find someone whose energy feels like home, and you'll never fall out of love.
Yeah.
And even to Nicole's point of saying, I was raised in a Catholic household, which, yeah, I understand that one too.
Yeah, and
No,
that's how I was raised, in a Christian household, and there
yeah,
was no
no sex
sex till
before
marriage.
marriage.
And so I always tried. I did.
Yeah.
And the only person well, in my past that waited was my ex-husband, and we didn't have any sex for 2 years. Lived together until we did. But, he's my ex-husband now.
For a reason. Okay. Well, and Sarah was just talking about what I was talking about a little bit earlier, about she was on board with that, about screwing your mind and your body and everything feeling the same. Rachel, it can work, but I think it's a lot harder to voice what you truly need as time goes on if you form those bad habits. So true. Nicole, I don't know. Feels like an age experience thing. You reach a point where you realize it's more important to grow old, yes, than it is to run
Run around.
around.
Mhm.
And Randy's, of course, I can wait. I agree. Makes a difference. I believe in delayed
Gratification.
gratification.
Good, Randy. Good
Yes,
words.
yes. Um, and Sarah's just like empathizing with you because I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, Sarah, I've had a lot of bad experiences. A lot.
Yeah, you should have. Well, you can always go back and catch the replay. Head over to youtube.com/unwrap love. Subscribe if you're there, Randy. And then, well, I guess you are since you're watching on YouTube already. So yeah, exactly. That it goes back to whatever to get whatever you want, you just can't believe it without the actions aligning with your words. I mean,
Oh
there
yeah.
has to be intentionality behind what you do and what you say, and that's the only way. Okay.
It's okay to swallow these bugs.
And then go watch the idiot boxes. But I think that I do feel this though. I feel like the connection,
Yeah.
because here's the thing. This is just being blunt, and I'm talking about sex. But after you both have gratification, right? You go, she goes. For guys, the filter goes away for a while, where they're like, I have to lie or say anything, because kind of sometimes that's kind of the buildup for guys, right? It's they lie to the women, or they say whatever they need to get what they want, and then once it happens, there's a moment of where there's clarity, where there's no filter, where there's a point where you can just kind of reach in a little bit and be intimate with somebody, if they're, of course, if there's somebody who really does care about you. Like, this is a point where you can really emotionally connect after being intimate with that person. But again, it goes back to you also, understanding that's what your relationship is. Like, if that's why I say, like, empty sex is just like, do the deed and get up and go. And if that's the intention behind it, you both know what you're getting into. The hard part for me is just that I felt like I have to connect internally with that person, because I felt just me, I wanted to be able to say, I want to spend the rest of my life, or whatever time I have left, with that person, and I wanted it to form a really strong bond. I mean, it's for me, it was the one thing I searched for whenever I got out into the world again. It was crazy, but that I was just opposite of what a lot of guys would tell me. Like, I talked to other guys, and they would tell me things, and I go, "Oh my gosh, you really did." And I mean, it's like, "Yeah, don't you?" And I'm like, "No, I don't do that." We do agree with that. Randy's an awesome guy. And yes, sex is only one piece.
Yes, absolutely.
And just kind of the whole idea of, the red flags. It's a no-go. I'm glad that again, psychology behind it before getting into it. My 13 and a half year relationship was a walking nightmare, taught you a lot. That's what can happen.
Mhm.
That's the thing, folks. That's what you can learn and take out of this before getting into something with somebody. And kind of like what you experienced with 3 years of doing it.
Yeah.
No fucking way. I could. Even if I was having arguments, I would rather have arguments and conversation than not.
No, that was the thing. That's why I thought, maybe everything's good because we didn't argue about anything. We not one single time did we ever have a disagreement. I guess because we hardly talked, but we just didn't disagree about anything. And so I was like, well, I mean, he's a nice guy, and yeah. So I don't recommend being silent for 3 years.
I don't either. That would be hard.
Uh, Yes, some of your best talks. Yes. When you are the most vulnerable. Absolutely.
Oh, we got a differing of opinions here. Okay, yeah.
Argue, then make up
There
sex.
you go. This woman is out. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you for tuning in. Lesson at you. There you go.
Oh, yes. I'm so happy you came, Nicole.
We love you. You're awesome.
Yes.
Okay. But just kind of going into what we were just finishing and kind of what Rachel was leading into, right? Vulnerability, right?
Mhm.
That's the thing about it. Embrace that.
Did you talk about this part right here? Because that was kind of good too.
Or what
Like couples who wait until marriage to have sex report higher relationship satisfaction. Did you
Yeah.
say 20% and then
Well,
15% better? Did you give
I
that?
didn't say the exact
Yeah.
statistics on it, but in fact, couples who wait until marriage to have sex reported higher relationship satisfaction, 20% higher, better communication patterns, 12% better, less consideration of
Of divorce.
divorce, 22%
22%
lower,
lower.
and better sexual quality, 15% better than those who started having sex early in their dating relationships.
Now that doesn't apply to everybody because it says 22% divorce. Because, like I said, I waited 2 years to have sex, and I'm divorced from him. So it doesn't apply to all of them. But yeah, for when they did the study, there was 22% less.
Yeah, means that there's an underlying problem and waiting to explore. Hey, that's the thing, right? So, but exploring what we were talking about and
Hmm.
being vulnerable, embracing vulnerability in those moments, I think that's the beautiful part, though, about intimacy.
Yeah.
Like when you do have the opportunity to physically connect with somebody and you bring together, um, one of the best experiences that, God's kind of created as far as like how we feel afterwards. I mean, I don't know what else I mean, it kind of what drives wars. I mean, people go do crazy things because of it. I mean, love and sex and how both of those are together, people will do just about anything sometimes to get that feeling, to get that gratification. And it's even better when you have it with somebody you truly love and you can then open up about everything. Everything. There's nothing, no holds bar when you share those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole intimacy part too, the before, the during, the after, like all of that matters. And when you're with the right person and you love that person, you want to give to that person. You don't want to be the only one getting either. Because some people are very selfish when it comes to intimacy and they're like, okay, rub my back and do this for me and me, and then they forget to do it to the other person and they're just a taker. So in an intimate relationship, you want to have two givers. You want to have both people that want to give into that relationship, because it's when it's one-sided, it sucks. It
Literally.
sucks so bad. And it's
Or somebody's not sucking. So
stop. But it's terrible. And then on top of that, it can lead into divorce. You don't want to put up with it forever, and some people do. Some people put up with it for years, and some people never get divorced. Like they deal with it for
oh
all of their
God.
marriage. All of their marriage until their spouse dies, and then they're like happy. They're like, man, I like being without my spouse, and they'll live another 20 years sometimes past their spouse. But
Wow.
it's I have family members that did that. So But, it's so important when you're both a giver in that relationship to, make that to make it last and to be happy. You want to find happiness. You don't want to, and be happy. You don't want to be miserable in your relationship and be the person that always feels obligated to do everything.
Oof,
So,
yeah,
obligations.
that's a hard sell. Like when you feel like it's an obligation, not so much that you're wanting to
Yeah.
do it out of
It's not out of love.
love and compassion for each other and wanting to do those things for each other. It's like it's like a job. It's like you're waiting to punch in
Mhm.
to go do that, and then as soon as you're done, punch out or get out of there as quickly as possible. That kind of sucks.
Or you're doing it just to get. So you selfishly do it for someone because you're like, okay, I know if I do this for the person, I'm gonna get me some in return. And so it's like some people will be like, my turn, me next, rub my back too. That's not fair. I rubbed you last night. Now it's my turn. And it's just like this. You're doing it, but you're not doing it out of love. You're doing it because you want something in return. So it's not a good social exchange when you do it that way. So love should be giving without expecting anything in return.
Absolutely, and just yeah, it's your duty. No, no, no. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. Set those healthy boundaries, right? Discuss your expectations in your relationships when you get to this point of where you're talking about sex and intimacy, right? And make sure, again, when you have these things, they're clearly communicated between the both of you, and understanding where what roles are, what you do as far as like physical intimacy, social interactions. Like it's good to know exactly where you stand with your partner, because I think that's just going to make both of you, you know, have a stronger bond, to have a stronger foundation, so that you can, again, in your latter years and as you grow, you understand that, the physical part sometimes for some, just for some couples, fades.
You want to flip to the next slide as
So,
we were talking about this one?
we
Are
don't
we on the
have,
left?
we're on,
Do you have one more after that?
no, I don't have any more slides,
Oh, I thought
but
you had one more after.
no, we don't have any
We
more.
can just go back to that other deal.
We can just go here and just bring
Okay.
that. Okay. Give me a sec.
All right, because we're just doing kind of like the remembers. So, also consider individual needs. Like sometimes people might want something or need something, and when you're only selfishly thinking about yourself, what if your significant other's like, and they're kind of in pain a little bit, and you're just like, okay. And you just walk past them. No, like check on them, see what's going on. Maybe they need a back rub at that moment. So if they're hurting, if they're down, you want to show that intimacy to that person. So consider their needs as well. And so also, I don't know why it said that part. I can skip that part. Okay.
Okay. But it's like Sarah's
But I,
saying
I, but
here.
I have something for you that I
Okay.
wanted to give you.
So Sarah's just saying transactional relationships suck.
Yes.
I agree.
So like I don't think tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So I don't think that you should only celebrate love on Valentine's Day like some people do.
Wait,
They'll wait
wait.
all year long and then you might get a rose thrown at you.
But,
So
but before we do this, so let me just make mention. Um,
but what I was saying, and Rachel would get this if she's listening. But yeah, you don't want to just make showing your love once a year and get a rose thrown at you. You want to kind of show it different times of the year. So I have something for you, honey.
Oh,
Share some love.
God, I love it. It's like, again, I need to get
So it doesn't have to be on Valentine's
look at this number one.
Day.
This is such pretty rapping, baby. I love this. Let me pull the comment down. Look at that. Love, it's everything. Man, I feel so bad about this. I feel like I'm doing a video unboxing as well.
And Yolanda, that was a literal. So I had that before.
Oh God. Poor baby girl is thrown at you. Oh no. Okay, so I'm taking this out slowly because I love the paper. Plus, my cats will love it later. They love
Yeah,
playing
save
with the
it.
paper.
Save it so I can wrap your other present.
Okay. All right, here we go.
ASMR wrapping paper.
Ooh. What do we have
There,
here?
there's something else in there too. Don't
Okay,
bypass the other.
Look at this, guys.
Oh, we got a Bucky's Love shirts. And turn on the back. Bucky's will never break my heart. And I would have got a smaller size one. He's getting smaller. We both are. So combined, we've lost over 50 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah, we're losing weight as we're on the show too. We're on a special diet. But yeah, there was only, I ran to Bucky's and there was only like the big sizes left. So we have to wear big shirts,
Right.
but it's okay.
We can wear them tomorrow and just be like, okay, screw it.
I'm wearing it tomorrow.
So
yeah, I got one for me in the other room.
Oh, can I show it on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's read this together. If I had my life to live over again, I would find you sooner so I could love you longer. Oh, baby. Oh. Oh gosh. You're gonna make me cry on the air. Ooh. You want to vamp while I read this?
Want to vamp? Vamp or rap?
Rap or whatever. We'll vamp. Yeah, if you want, you can hit this little button here to pull up all the comments. Like that one takes them down. That one
okay.
Up, and then you can just kind of
get some tissues.
Oh God.
Let's see. Yes, comfy cuddle shirts. Absolutely. Okay. How do you go?
All right, I'm tearing up here.
Aww. I love him.
I need a moment. I need a moment. Wow. I'm. Those are the kind of words you yeah, they're happy tears. You wait for so long to find somebody and hopefully hear those kinds of words. So thank you, baby, for these are tears of joy. And you guys know I'm an emotional kind of dude. So but
I am too. I am too. So we match.
I love this. It is my sensitive side, and it's kind of hard to see the screen with glasses on. It's here.
Oh.
But hey, I love it.
I know. It's hard to get Gabe speechless because he talks a lot, which is good. I love it. Because it's not nonsense talk. You know what I'm talking about, Rachel. So it's like actually meaningful talk. But yeah, he has a lot to say on and off the air.
On and off the air. So to get me to be quiet is a lot. So wow. Thank you, baby. That was like next level. In how I feel, and I'm just like blown away. And this is what I love about love. The whole time that just in my journey and trying to find the right person, this is the hope. This is the dream to find to find the person that makes you feel this way, right? That gives you the butterflies and the the goosebumps. Like they give you those feels all the time, and I feel like I have this all the time with her. And just moments like this just reiterate that this is the right choice, this is the right place, this is home, um this is everything to me, because this is what I feel love is supposed to be, and what it was the whole reason why I started this project in the first place, is because I didn't quite understand love. And I feel the more time we spend together, the more time that we talk about it, I'm learning more about it, about us, about myself. And it's the best part of this damn journey. I wouldn't trade it for the world at all. So, yeah, like that's all I gotta say about that for right now, because I'm still trying to hold in my emotions and regain my composure a little bit. But
I'll say ditto, because yeah, it's been, and now that I have him, like, I'm gonna show him every bit of love possible. Like, it's like I've been storing a lot of the love that I have, and I've tried to give it to so many of the wrong people throughout my journey in life. And now that I've met my soulmate, the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, like, I will show him love in any way I can, all the time, every day, like, as much as I can. I want him to know how much I love him.
thank you. Oh
And
gosh, she makes me feel it all the time, and I hope I reciprocate it tenfold, because that's how much I love this woman. Um, and yes, Sarah, it is an example of hope for those of us who need it. I know, because at one point I needed it. Um, I needed it. I was searching for it. It was the one thing that I really felt I wanted to find, because I felt like it was the one thing that I needed in my life. Like everything else, I was learning my own journey and feeling myself and understanding myself and self awareness and the growth. It was just finding somebody who didn't complete me, because I was complete, but she complimented me in such a way that elevated who I was as an individual. And I just want to do the same thing for her. She knows how much I love and respect her and adore her. And I would, like I said, I tell her all the time, I would do anything for you. Anything. That's how much I love this woman. So,
and he does a lot for me. And yeah, you're making me lose my train of
and
thought.
and then, well, let's just say, Rachel, I know we miss your baby. We all do. Hope
Yeah.
things get better. You guys are cute together. Yes, but this is what our show's about. This is what the show's about. This is what love is about, right? And we're going to talk about this tomorrow too, because again, people, and I've been doing polls and writing articles and doing things about like how people feel about Valentine's Day, that it's just a big money grab. Um, it's part of both. It is a money grab. I'm not gonna say it's not, but it's also a day to celebrate and explore and just, again, express love on a day created to express it. Use
Yeah.
it. To me, it's like using it in the proper terms of, I get to talk about love and I get to do things about love, and it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to say it, and it's okay to accept it. And yeah, there might be a big bouquet of roses that's cost $150 behind all of that, but I think it's the message. You have to look through all the bullshit and see the message about it, and that's why I love this topic, and why I just being in love has been the best thing that I could say.
Yeah,
Uh,
the year that the year that that guy that I was with for 3 years dumped me, that was the year that I threw an anti-Valentine's Day party. I was totally anti-love, anti-relationships. I threw a huge party. I had so many people over. Like, we all dressed in black. Like, everything was decorated in black. I did photography for the event. Like, I made these cards with like broken hearts, and like did graphic backgrounds with it. And, it was all about against love. And it took me a long time to really like heal from that and want to be in a better relationship. Because I moved to another relationship that was more like a situationship for a while.
Right.
And that one was terrible, and that one lasted for a couple of years. And I just, it was a journey. It's definitely been a journey, but now, it took a while, but now when I think of Valentine's Day, I think of it a day to celebrate love. It's a day to love other people. It doesn't have to, if you're single, it doesn't have to be a dating relationship. You can love your family, you can love your children. I get gifts for my kids every Valentine's Day. I do like little gift bags, and I would have one, and I can still get one for Cheyenne because I want to put one together for her. But she's not with me, so I'm gonna do that, 50% off once Valentine's Day, and then I'm gonna give it to her on Saturday. Don't tell her.
Don't tell her. Don't show her this video. Don't do no,
Yeah,
it's
Cheyenne, you
all
better
right.
not be watching.
Yeah.
But for the other two, I have it there in the morning to give them a little, little something for Valentine's Day, to share and tell them that I love them. And, I love that day as an extra day to love on people and others. And, I've given roses out to people before. I've, give roses out to all the women in my family. I've done cards to people that I worked with. And, we actually put together Valentine's Day cards in the classroom too. So I have them write Valentine's Day cards to people in sociology and psychology, or to the word. So they do a I love you to the word. And so they have to create like a little love poem to vocabulary words or to actual sociologists or psychologists. And then I hang them all up. And so I love the day of Valentine's Day, and I celebrate it any way possible.
Now you see why she was the perfect partner to go with me on this journey and do the show with. It's the best part. Yes, Yolanda, I don't know when, but it's a strong consideration. Trust me, we think about it. We've actually had that conversation. Thank you, Sarah. We yeah. And then it is the ooey gooey lovey everyday stuff that we
Yeah,
enjoy
the
here.
put on Rachel. Wait, go back before. Yes, it is for the kids, Rachel. She put, see, like I said, the second one is different.
So
The
different.
second marriage, yes.
Yes, it's so much better. But woo, we got off track. But that was a good way. Hey, I'll go off track for that anytime. Okay. So yeah, just kind of I guess we kind of discussed what the show's about tomorrow. So again, if you're so inclined and you are, if you're not too busy with your honey bunny and you don't have things to do, or if you're celebrating Singles Awareness Day, what I call it, hey, join us. We'll be here talking about it. We will share stories with another couple about their own love story and just what it involves and entails and what they do in their passion. And then, we'll be back for our regular Thursday. So you get us 3 times this week. Actually, we're also doing a Saturday show for those who don't know.
Oh yeah, it's our love
So
talk.
our
I better get my homework finished.
we'll get it done.
I get my homework
We'll get it.
finished.
But Saturday is for the adults.
I forgot we do love talk Saturday.
But it's later in the evening, so it's
it's late because we have the gender reveal for my daughter. Yeah, we're finding out if she's gonna have a girl or a boy. So that's gonna be on Saturday, and we're gonna do it live too. So it'll be on Facebook.
Well, hey,
Facebook.
that could break out in Love Talk here.
Yeah.
Love Talk's a little bit more free flowing, and we do talk about love and things, but it's a little bit more fun. We bring it in, and hey, we could do like bringing on people. Like we could actually conceal somebody and do like a blind dating thing and bring on 2 other people and just see if we can get people to hook up and do a date. That would be fun to do. Thank you for the idea. We're gonna run with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Some
We
point.
want to keep going with this show because I'm enjoying myself so much. Like, I never thought I would be like doing some kind of live stream if it hadn't been for Gabe. Because, yeah, I talk and I teach and I educate in the classroom. And he's like, well, you're kind of an expert. So it's nice that you're my co host. And I'm like, oh, he gives me the best compliments ever. Makes me feel so good.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
It's been fun indeed. So,
Yes, I know you do, Rachel.
yes,
Yeah, Rachel is kind of like her stepmom.
yeah,
Yeah, so she used to take Skylar on with her kids, and seeing Skylar was 11 whenever I got with
Her-
yeah,
the
the
ex.
ex.
So All right, like puzzle pieces. We'll see how that works. I'll look into the logistics of that and see if we can line something fun like that up and see if it works. We don't know, but that's the fun thing about love. Just kind of rely on our own expertise and maybe help someone find a love connection. That would be nice. Okay. Where was I? Oh,
So,
let's wrap up. Yeah.
okay. So may your
May
say
your
that.
may
May your life be filled with laughter, sparks, and genuine connections. And remember, love is a beautiful journey. So keep unwrapping it with open hearts,
and
open minds.
And please, again, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you head over to www.youtube.com/@unwrapped we got lots of great stuff over there. We got music. We got a music love playlist. We got all our videos. We got shorts. We got community posts that we put up there all the time. Please head over if you're not already subscribed to it. Any final words, baby?
I do. I have some.
I'm so intrigued.
ready?
I want to hear it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. You got to get closer.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you. All right. And then on that note, guys, we will see you again. Well, tomorrow evening. We'll be back tomorrow. So until then, enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna have fun reading that card again. That was awesome. So thank you guys. We'll talk to you again very, very soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.